You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe of Torch in Houston, Texas. This is the Parsha Review Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Parsha Review Podcast. This week's Parsha is Parshas Ki Sisa. Such an incredible Parsha as you see the trials and tribulations of the Jewish people, how, like always, when we get too comfortable, it's the beginning of our downfall. We see this with Haman, that one of the reasons we'll see in our Thinking Talmudist episode, one of the reasons that Esther invited him to a party with Achashverosh is to get him comfortable. Because the minute you get comfortable, you're about to fall really, really well. You're going to fall. The Jewish people just received the Torah a few portions ago. The Jewish people receive all the mishpatim, all of the laws, not all, but many of them. And then the Jewish people get instructions on how to build the tabernacle. They get instructions on how to put together all of the garments of the high priest. And now what's going to happen? They sin the sin of the golden calf. But what happens at the beginning of the Torah portion? Something so incredible. Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemar. And Hashem spoke to Moses saying, Ki tisa es rosh b'nei Yisrael. When you take a head count of the children of Israel, lifkudehem, according to their numbers, v'nosnu ish kofer nafsho la'Hashem, they shall give, every man shall, an atonement for his soul to Hashem, bifkodosam, when counting them, v'lo yeh bohem negev bifkodosam, so that there should not be among them a plague when counting them. So what's the solution? Everyone gives the half shekel. We count the half shekels, and that's the next verse. Ze yitnu kol ha'over al ha'pekudim. This shall they give everyone who passes through the census. Machatzis shekel, a half shekel b'shekel hakodesh, of the shekel of the sanctuary. Esrim gera, 20 geras is the shekel. Machatzis shekel truma Hashem, a half shekel as a raised up portion to Hashem. Okay, so how are you going to count the Jewish people? Count them with the coins. Everyone's going to give a half shekel. And then, what are you going to have? You're going to have a count. You'll be able to count the coins. And like this, you know how many Jews there are. That's the census. But don't count them by number. Don't count the people by number. Because then what's going to happen is going to be a plague. Now, I ask you, what's the difference? What's the difference if I count the people, or if I count the coins? By the way, this is a law that's applicable to each and every one of us today. When you go to a synagogue and they're counting how many people there are for a minyan, they don't count the number. They count in either the verse of Hoshia et Amecha, which is 10 words in the verse, or they count the blessing of Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, which is Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. There's different ways you can count, but you don't count 10 people. You want to know if there's a minyan? You don't count the people. You have a different way to count. Why? Why is this such an important thing for us? Our sages tell us something so magnificently important. It's important for us to be individuals. It's important for every individual to know their specialty. It's important for every individual to be unique. Because we are all unique. Not one person in this room, not one person in this world is identical to any of you. Maybe in looks, perhaps doppelganger, similarities, complexion, but in reality, there's no two people that are the same. Every single person in the world is unique. However, it's important, it's vitally important for us to be part of a community, to be part of a congregation, to not be isolated, to not be only independent where it's just me. We should find a way for us to be part of our community. Don't separate yourself. And we see stories throughout our sages where people were asked, who are you? And they were unique people. They're like, no, I just want to be part of everyone. I don't want to be recognized as a unique, independent individual. I want to be part of a community. Told about the Rosh Hashiva of the Mir Yeshiva. Where does the head of the yeshiva stand throughout the year? He stands at the front. He prays at the front. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, he sits with everybody else. He wants to be counted with the congregation. Doesn't want to be isolated. It's such an important thing for us to understand. Our sages tell us that this is also important on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur more than the rest of the year. Why is it important for us not to be isolated and independent? Because then our judgment is isolated and independent. And we don't want that. So, for example, if one person comes and asks you for a favor, well, you'll, based on the merit of that individual, you'll make your decision. But if 10 people come, you're not going now after the individuals. It's a whole group. It's a whole big unit. And it's a different story. You're more likely to acquiesce and to fulfill their wish because they came in a big group. That's exactly why we don't call a synagogue a base Knesset, a base tefillah. We call it a base Knesset. A Knesset is a place of gathering. The Knesset in Israel is a place of gathering. The idea is not that you go pray, I go pray independently, and you go pray independently, you go pray. No, we go and pray together. It's a place of hitkansut, where we all come together to pray. So now our prayers are much more powerful. It's not me asking for a private request. It's us asking. All of our prayers are not as independent people. Our prayers are all in plural. Hashiveinu, slach lanu, rifo'enu, barech oleinu, right? Hashiva shofteinu. Each one of these things we're asking in plural. Because asking alone asks for independent investigation. So let me see. Do you have the right merits? Do you deserve this? Is this coming to you? But when you're part of a community, like, okay, take whatever you want. You got it. You guys got it. It's so essential. We know that the Jewish people, what does it say about us when we receive the Torah? We receive the Torah ki ish echad belev echad, as one nation, one soul. They were all united. It wasn't 600,000 individual men between the age of 20 and 60. It was the women and the men and the older and the younger. They were all one unit. That's the essence of who we are. Yes, we have individuality. But let me ask you an even better question. Why are they giving a half shekel? Let them give a full shekel. Why are you giving a half shekel? It's not like it's so much. It's like 50 cents. You know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world. So you give $1. You're not whole if you're not with someone else. The half shekel represents that you are not whole alone. Alone, you're just a half shekel. You combine it with others, now it becomes whole. This is the essence of our responsibility. Our responsibility. My grandfather brings over here, he has an entire chapter preparing us for Rosh Hashanah. This is the name of the chapter. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. He says, Michiyuvei hadin liyot ish klal. You want to know how to win judgment on Rosh Hashanah? Be a person of the public. Don't be just isolated. It's just me. I'm taking care of myself. I'm being responsible for me and my family, and that's it. You have to be part of a community. Because our sages tell us something very important. Before a person is taken from this world, who is judged? The person is judged, whether or not they need to bring their soul back to heaven. Not only them, though. Everyone who will be affected by it is judged. So when someone passes away, do you know who gets judged? Everybody who is impacted by that news. If they didn't deserve to have that bad news, if they didn't deserve to have that loss, that person wouldn't have been taken. Now, if a person is responsible for a community, if a person is responsible for a city, for a state, for a country, it's a very big judgment before God takes them. But it's a judgment on everyone. It's less likely that a person will be taken prematurely if they have a big influence. But the big problem that we have today, we mentioned influence, is influencers. How do people become influencers today? What can I do unique and different than anybody else in the world? And be crazy or be special in my own unique way. And if you ask people who have become influencers, they become extremely isolated. They don't have people they trust. They don't have people that they can communicate with. They don't have people that they can be neighbors and friends with, because everybody says, ooh, do you know who that person is? They have a gazillion followers. Do you know who that person is? That's that famous person. And they become so isolated. And they're not part of a community. And they're not part of being unified with others in their isolation. It's a big, big challenge. Our responsibility is, yes, to recognize that we have individual abilities. We have unique talents. We have unique skills. We have unique responsibilities. Notwithstanding that, we also have a responsibility to be part of a community, to not isolate ourselves, to not separate ourselves. We talk about the incense. Every morning in our prayer, we talk about the special ingredients that were put together to make the incense in the temple. Part of the service. One of them, our sages tell us, had a really repugnant smell. The chelbana. Its odor was awful. So why is that one of the ingredients included in the incense? Our sages tell us because when it's mixed with other things, it has a beautiful scent, has a beautiful aroma. Even if you have somebody who on their own is not such a good person, they're not such a good person, perhaps the way they act is not so great, but when they're now immersed with other good people, they have an influence of becoming a better person. This is our Torah portion telling us, don't be isolated. Don't be alone. Be part of the community. You know what it says in halacha, very, very frightening halacha. Talmud says, and the halacha confirms this, that someone who has a synagogue in their community and they don't attend that synagogue, it's a really, really, really terrible thing. Because you're separating yourself from the community. You have an opportunity in your community to be part of something that is a community, and you isolate yourself. It's a terrible thing. Therefore, if someone has a congregation in their community, I'm a member here. You can go to other places even if you're not a member. Be part of a community. I'm saying this for myself, that I have 4 synagogues in walking distance to my house. 5, 6. There's a bunch of synagogues. I try to make it my business to go at least once a month to each synagogue, even if it's for one prayer. Don't be isolated. Oh, I have my place. I have my thing. True. Be part of a community. Be part of other people. Don't separate yourselves. So now we think in a world where there's antisemitism from the far left, from the far right, from the left, from all these interesting people and personalities. So I saw someone suggest, I got an email yesterday, for safety concerns, we shouldn't stand out as Jews. Excuse me? We're going to hide our Judaism? We're going to hide our yarmulkes? We're going to hide our tzitzis? We can't hide. And we should never hide. The Jewish people in Egypt were in far worse persecution. And what saved them? They didn't change their names. They didn't change their language. They didn't change their clothes. That's what saved them. They stayed a community within the Jewish people. We're not trying to be community with the rest of the world. We're trying to be a community within our people. We can never take a step back from being proud of our Judaism. We can never take a step back from being at the front lines of representing what it means to be God's people. That's our responsibility. Our job is we are on the front lines, representing what it means to be God's people. Not to hide from it, not to shy away from it, not to ever feel that we need to cower in front of these anti-Semites. We stand tall, we stand proud, united as a people, and we're able to overcome anything in the world. Because unity is the key to success. You know, the example given by our sages, if you take one straw, you crack it. But try to take 100 straws and cracking them. It doesn't work. But it's just a little straw, it's nothing. When you have 100 together, it's unbreakable. Each one of us independently could be cracked. But as a community, we cannot. Hashem should bless us to have an amazing Shabbos. Thank you, my dear friends.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.